All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about something that's absolutely fundamental to life on Earth, our planet's forests. This is their story, a story about a lifeline we all depend on.
So there's this really beautiful line that sets the stage for us. Forests are vital natural resources that cover the earth like a green blanket. I mean, that just perfectly captures it, doesn't it? This idea of a vast, nurturing presence wrapped around our world.
But here's the twist in the story. That beautiful green blanket, well, we're pulling it apart, thread by single thread. And that's the real tension we're going to explore today, this massive gap between what our forests give us and what we're doing to them. To really get a handle on what we're losing, we first have to understand what forests actually do. I mean, what's their job? So for this first part, let's think of them as the planet's powerful green engine. Okay, you've probably heard this term carbon sink, but what does it actually mean? Well, just think of forests as the world's best all-natural vacuum cleaners. They literally breathe in the carbon dioxide that's warming our planet, and they lock it away. And here's the key. Nothing else on land does this job better. They are, without a doubt, our #1 ally against climate change. And it's not just about the air. Forests are also absolute masters of water management. They're at the very heart of the water cycle. I love this metaphor. They act like giant sponges. When it pours, they soak up all that rainfall, which helps prevent terrible floods. Then they release that water slowly, refilling the groundwater that we all rely on. It's this incredibly elegant system that keeps everything in balance.
So you have these massive planet-scale jobs that forests are doing. But it gets even more personal than that. Forests give us things, tangible gifts that are, frankly, completely irreplaceable for our societies and our economies.
And this just lays it all out so clearly. On the left, you've got all those big environmental things we've been talking about. But just look at the right side. This is the stuff we use every day. Timber for our homes, fuel wood that billions of people depend on, plants that become life-saving medicines, not to mention millions and millions of jobs. They are an ecological necessity and an economic powerhouse, all at once. And then you have this number. Just, wow, more than half, over 50%, of every known species on this planet calls the forest home. Plants, animals, insects, you name it. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about the planet's single greatest library of life, and we're still finding new things in it every day. So we've built this incredible picture of how vital forests are, which, brings us to the hard part of the story, the great unraveling. What happens when we actually start pulling those threads from the green blanket? Well, the problem has a name we all know, deforestation. And the definition is pretty straightforward, but it's also pretty chilling. It's when we clear out forests to use the land for something else, farms, cities, whatever it might be. The key here is conversion to non-forest uses. It's not just about losing trees, it's about erasing an entire living system. So what's causing all this? What's the main driver? Well, this chart tells the story pretty bluntly. A full 50%, half of all deforestation, is for agriculture, clearing land for crops and for livestock. Then you add in commercial logging for things like lumber and paper, and that's another quarter right there. The causes are complex, sure, but there's no denying our global food system is the biggest engine behind it. Hey, remember how we called forests a carbon sink? Well, what do you think happens when you destroy them? You guessed it, it's the exact opposite. All that carbon they've been storing for centuries gets released right back into the atmosphere. And the result is this mind-blowing number. Deforestation alone is responsible for almost 20% of the world's entire CO2 emissions. That is a massive, massive contribution to climate change. And this right here, this is the before and after shot. It's like night and day. On the left, you've got a healthy forest that creates stability. And on the right, you've got a deforested landscape that creates chaos. You go from a stable climate to wild swings of droughts and floods, from rich soil to barren land, from clean water to polluted runoff. It's a total system collapse. Okay, I know that's a really grim picture, but here's the thing. It doesn't have to end that way. The story isn't finished. And that brings us to the most important part of this whole thing, rewriting the future. What can we actually do about it? So the crucial thing to understand is that there's no single magic bullet here. The solution has to come from a few different directions at once. You start at the top with big global policies that give countries real financial reasons to protect their forests. Then you need industries to adopt more sustainable ways of doing things. And finally, and this might be the most important one, You have to get local communities involved, making them partners and guardians of their own forests.
So, what does a sustainable practice actually look like in the real world? This is a perfect example. On the left, you have clear cutting, just wiping everything out. But on the right, you have selective cutting. You only take certain mature trees and you leave the rest of the forest standing. The ecosystem stays intact. It's a world of difference.
All right, so we've talked big picture, global stuff, industry stuff. But now let's bring it all the way down to us, to you and me. Because this last piece of the puzzle is about the forest that is, in a very real way, in your hands. I know, it's so easy to hear all this and feel overwhelmed, right? To think, what can I possibly do about a problem this massive? But the thing is, our individual choices actually create ripples. They matter. So the question really becomes, where do you fit into this story? And here are some real, powerful things that any of us can do. I mean, just using less paper and recycling more, that directly lowers demand. When you buy wood, look for those little certification labels. That sends a huge message to companies that you care about where it comes from. And of course, you can get your hands dirty, plant trees, support groups that are doing the work on the ground. Every single one of these choices adds up.
You know, when you get right down to it, every single forest on this planet, no matter how huge, started with just one seed. So the final question we're left with is, what will we choose to plant? Seeds of more destruction or seeds of a better future? Thanks for listening.